Hi everyone. Today we're going to be talking about writing, testing, and developing better code using the NetBeans IDE. I'm Georgia.
And I'm Mark.
And we're from a company called IDR Solutions. So a bit about us.
So for our day job, we write commercial software in Java. We use NetBeans to do it. If you came to our stand, you'll know that we do some converting PDF to HTML5 and SVG, which is a fairly hardcore activity. We have 400,000 lines of code so far to do this, and the vast majority of it is written, tested, and developed in NetBeans.
We also provide an online converter, so we convert Office documents, so Word, Excel, and PDF, into HTML or SVG or images.
If you've ever used Java for handling images, you'll know that the official Java image library, Java Image IO, really sucks. So we also wrote our own image library for handling Java.
And we're also a NetBeans enthusiast. Oh, sorry, can you guys hear all right with this? Yeah. Are we talking too fast, or are we good? Okay, cool. Right, so NetBeans enthusiasts, we've helped organise the NetBeans Days in the UK, so it's been going on for a year so far, so we've helped out with all that.
And we are previous speakers. 2 months ago, we were with Murat and Nile in San Francisco for Java 1. We have spoken at several DevFests. This is my 4th DevFest conference, so thank you for inviting me back. It's Georgia's first. She told me she plans for it not to be her last one. And we've also done some NetBeans conferences and spoken at user groups.
Right, so what we're going to cover today. So first off, we're going to give you a quick tour of some cool features. We're not going to tell you about these, we're actually going to show you how they actually work, so you can get an idea. We're also going to say how you can actually get involved in NetBeans, and we'll give you some links to get you started.
Okay, so I'd like to tell you about NetBeans. Before I tell you about NetBeans, very quickly, I'd like to say thank you very much for inviting me to this conference. I actually have my university degree is in medieval history, so I spent 4 years studying the history of Hagia Sophia, the Topaki Palace, the walls. So it's an absolute treat to come to this city and mix my 2 favourite passions of history and computing. So my apologies to Georgia, who's been dragged around all of these boring places for the last 2 days. But I've had tremendous fun, and anytime you invite me back, I will come. So anyway, on to the subject, NetBeans. NetBeans was written by a group of students in the Czech Republic initially in 1996. So the code you're writing today may well turn out to be even bigger than NetBeans. It was bought by Sun Microsystems, who open sourced it. When Sun bought Oracle, it became part of Oracle. In 2016, Oracle decided they wanted to give it a much wider audience. So it's become part of the Apache Foundation, which is a big organization of free software. There are no companies in Apache, it's all individuals. So your voice, Oracle's voice, they all have the same weight. So it's removed Oracle as a sort of controlling influence on NetBeans. NetBeans is both an IDE, so it's a tool for writing Java. It's also a really cool platform for writing applications on top of, which we haven't got time to show you, but it saves a lot of time developing applications. And companies like Boeing and NASA are using the NetBeans platform rather than trying to reinvent the wheel from scratch. It is a jigsaw of components and plugins. It's multi-language as well. So if you write Java, you can use NetBeans. If you write PHP, you can use NetBeans. JavaScript, CSS, HTML5, Android, any number of languages can be supported in NetBeans. So one of my favorite features in NetBeans is I have one tool that does everything. We're doing a demo later where Georgia will show you 3 different languages being debugged in NetBeans. So one development tool for testing all of them. And I've taken some screenshots from the website there. You can see the language that is used. Hands up if you use all of these technologies. No, me neither. I've never met anyone who managed to program in all those languages. So let's let Georgia show you how it works.
All right, so first things first, project creation. So what NetBeans does is it gives you some handy functions to basically make some boilerplate code. So if you create glue-on applications, Java, HTML, Maven, PHP, Android, you can create all these different types and it'll basically create a template for you, so you don't have to create the basic configuration code. And it also has some samples. So what these samples are, they're small, concise projects, and they basically show you how you can create something. But they're really small and easy to follow. So if I show you one now, instead of that, let's show you a HTML one. That's probably more relevant. Right. Right. So this one, if you open it up, is, again, it's only a small project. So it's got a styling sheet, images, unit test, and it's only got 3 HTML files. So if you go down, you can see it's heavily coded, documented, and it's only 181 lines long. So it's small, you can see what it's doing, you can work through it, and it's quite nice. And another thing is, if you right-click it, it has all the properties in one place, so you can just go through. So you can see about the JavaScript, what version it's using, how it's run, Node.js, and as well, so that's the samples, not just Java. And there's also multiple views. So the projects view gives you a simplified view, so what the IDE thinks you'll be working on most. So if you're working on these files, in HTML project, it's the HTML, the CSS, or if you go to the files view, it gives you more documented, so this is what's in the file explorer, so this is every file. And there's also a services view. So if you need to add a server to your project, you can configure it here, a database, a cloud. It just makes it that much easier to add things in.
Okay, as you've probably noticed, NetBeans is the star of this presentation. We're just using the PowerPoint so that we don't forget anything. So NetBeans is designed around the concept of plugins and modules. Everything is modular. So we have a plugin manager, and everything you can see in NetBeans is a plugin that can be switched on or off. So for example, NASA and Boeing switch off all the IDE functionality. They just use the Windows menu bars. So let's show you the tools. So we have plugins here. And again, a lot of the plugins have been written as part of NetBeans. There are also plugins that are available from third parties. So there's lots of integration from tools. So here are the plugins that are currently installed. By default, there are quite a few plugins which aren't installed but aren't available. So for example, here's the CVS plugin. So if I wanted to use that form of version control, it comes as standard with NetBeans, but because it's quite a minority tool, it's not switched on. Switching it on would be a case of pressing that. Similarly, if I have things that I am running that I'm not using, it's very easy for them to be switched off. So like Mercurial can be switched off, and there's a Mercurial toolbar. You can also get a lot of plugins that integrate external tools into NetBeans. So for example, if you're running the static analysis tool PMD, which spots silly mistakes in your code, there is a plugin. If you install the plugin, it will allow NetBeans to give you a configuration rule. NetBeans will run the plugin from it as well. In general, NetBeans is running as a wrapper on things. So if you run Maven or you run Ant, when you see the output window, you'll see the actual commands being run from Maven or Ant within NetBeans. So we have those tools. We have a lot of other tools for doing all sorts of things. So if I wanted to write cloud, for example, I could type cloud in there, and you will see that there are loads of plugins from various cloud providers. So for example, Oracle, Jelastic, there's a GitHub plugin, and again, all these can be switched on and switched off. And if you go to the NetBeans portal, there are lots of companies who are making their code available, or plugins available for their code, so you can actually use their products. So most of the plugins themselves are free, but there are some products which are available only by buying the product. So here's the NetBeans plugin portal. As you can see, the last update was the 21st of November. So there's some fairly regular plugins being released for there. That's the NetBeans plugin, and that's available on the old NetBeans site. And you can get plugins for Docker as well. There is an API, so you can write your own plugin for NetBeans. So if you want a silly little plugin to, for example, snapshot the code, or you want to change the way that the product works, you can add that. We actually wrote our own little plugin for PDF viewer. So we built an FX viewer which plugs in. It's a very simple, very clean plugin. And again, you can use NetBeans to write the plugin. You can use NetBeans to test the plugin. You can create the deployable jar with the plugin. And you can put it on the plugin website if you want, or you can just provide it to anyone you want to access. So everything is a plugin in NetBeans. Everything is configurable. And you can see all these external technologies which have been made integral to NetBeans by adding a plugin.
Alright, so next I'm going to show you how you can actually personalize NetBeans to make it more comfortable for you to use, faster, more efficient. So like Mark said, you can choose your own plugins. You can make it as small and compact as you like, or you can add all the extensions on. And then what you can do after that is if you can go Tools, Options, and you can customize it. So you can go to the editor, you can say, all right, I want the code to fold this way, I want the formatting. For HTML, I want the indents like this, or you can change it for other languages. And so you can change tab size. And then what you can do is to make sure that all your team are coding the same way, you can export this. So you export your settings, other people import them, and then all your team are using the same code stylings, which is really useful. Oh, and then shortcuts. So when you're using an IDE, you can check this, which is the keyboard shortcuts card. So if you're just moving over to NetBeans, this is really useful because it shows you the most useful shortcuts all in one place. So you could use this, or if you wanted, you can go to the key map card, and you can see all the shortcuts here, and you can add your own. So the profile is set to NetBeans, but if you're moving from IntelliJ or Eclipse or IDEA, you can change it to that. So it'll change the key map setting so you're using the same shortcut. So it just makes it that much easier to move over or use if you want to. If you wanted to add a shortcut, it's easy. So just search for what you want to do. So I can search for plugin. Sorry, accidentally closed that. Right. Oh, that's why it's the wrong one. Right. Don't know what it's doing there. Okay, I've done something to it there. But basically, you can add your own. So you can select here, you can type one in, and then that's it. And you just click OK, and then you set it.
Okay, if you're writing code, either because you're well organized or if you're writing code with other people, you will discover version control, which is a way of being able to track the history of your files and also integrate your code changes with the other code changes. As you would expect, this comes as standard with NetBeans. So we've already mentioned that NetBeans has CVS support. Out of the box, it comes with it switched on for Mercurial, Subversion, and Git. You could switch these ones off if you want to disable them. Just by clicking on any of the modules. When it adds the features, it also adds, what am I doing? Again, it's context sensitive, so I've actually come out of the services, so let's go to project, and I'm going to open a project so I can show you this in more detail. Again, one of people's favorite uses of NetBeans, which Georgia will be showing you later, is Maven. It just works. We talk to so many users of other tools, and they seem to have so many problems we just don't get. It just works for us, which is the default programming environment you really want on a software product. So here's our NetBeans project, and we have the tools here. So again, we have, team. As you can tell, I'm a Mac person, so I'm moved on to Windows for the day. So we have all the different activities here. If you have some local changes that you want to save without committing, you can stash the changes. You can pull any module out of Git. It also implements some nice features that aren't actually part of Git. So you have fetch implemented as standard as part of NetBeans. And what you can also do is put the toolbar up here. So you can see we have the differences up here on any changes within the code. You can see that little blue icon there tells you there are some changes within there. And it's context sensitive. So I click there, you can see it's added a little file there, and I can go to any class and make changes. So let's go to a class that I am familiar with. So Control O, and I was editing this class last week. So test form caching, and here's the class. It would be really useful if I could know who else has been editing this file. So if I click on here, you can immediately see all of the code commits and who's committed them. So this actually goes back, and this could be in Mercurial, it could be in CVS. In our case, it's in Git, going into bit buckets. So I can see here the code, and I can actually jump into Jira. I can access Jira directly from here, or I can go down to this code. Let's scroll down to this code. So this is the code I changed last week. And again, I can see the code commit. I can see what code changed. So you can actually see this was my code commit, and I can see the new and old on the left and right, which makes it very easy for me to find out what the code changes were, and also who I need to speak to about if I edit any of this code. As well as having the ability to have history and annotations, we also have a local history. So this file, I can go to it, and I can see who edited it. So you can actually see the changes here. You can see the comments. It is actually possible for it to store local changes as well. So let's make a change to this file. Okay. So I'm just going to add some space. Again, you will see it's now flagged up the changes graphically. I could easily remove that just by clicking there, and I would get a menu which would allow me to delete it. I could go down to the next change. And what I can also do is once I've saved it, it will become blue to show that the file has changed. And if I go to local history, you'll see there's now a new entry. A lot of things in NetBeans you discover by accident, and I discovered this by accident by typing. It's possible to actually add your own comment. So change by mark. Okay, and that's now in the history on local on this machine. So NetBeans integrates really nicely in terms of version control and in terms of local support for history. So let's just check what I might have missed out. Okay. That looks good to me. Okay.
Right up. So Mark mentioned Maven before. So when we say Maven is made from NetBeans, we say it just works. So it just uses the POM file. Some other IDEs sometimes need to add extra files to get it to work with Maven. NetBeans doesn't need to do that, so it's not adding unnecessary files. It also comes bundled with the IDE, so when you download the IDE, you get Maven with it, so you don't need to add it in. And what you can do is, if we jump back to the code, so if you right-click, you can see you can run Maven, the goals, and what you can do as well, build with dependencies. So what that does is it looks at your POM file. So if I open that up, let's show you calls one. So that's the source for the POM. You can also see the effective POM, so all of the different versions combined. And you can also see a graphic view. So it just makes it that much easier to understand what's going on in your project. And you can also add dependencies. So if we go to dependencies, add dependency. So you could add it in the POM file, but if you wanted to make it easier, you could say, all right, the project's already there, so I might as well just click that and it'll fill the details in for you. Or you can search projects. So say if you wanted to add the Gemi jar, this connects to Maven Central. So it'll bring up what's already there, and you can choose the version that you want. And again, it'll just pop that in, so you don't need to go online to find it. It's all in one place. And finally, you can also bind actions. So if you right-click on the project and go down to Properties, it actually combines Maven actions with IDE actions. So you can click on Build with Dependencies, and it'll implement the Maven goal for you. So you don't have to run it from the terminal. The IDE will do it for you. And you could just set the properties. So you can add them, change them, build with dependencies. So you can configure it to how you want it. And you can just do that without having to jump back into the command line.
Okay, a lot of your time in NetBeans will be spent writing, debugging, and testing code. So this is a fairly long slide, and I will try and cover all of my points and remember them. So let's create a class to start with. Again, we have a module here. So NetBeans is code sensitive. So depending on the context I choose, it will apply it. So I can actually ask it to replace code in a single class, or I can choose it for the entire project. I'll show you some more examples of that. NetBeans is detected when I go to new that I'm in a Java class. It will offer me the chance to create a Java class. Again, it'll say new class. One of NetBeans' key objectives is to save me from myself and stop making me make silly mistakes. So you'll see here that it has warned me that I don't put Java classes in a default package. Obviously, I'm a hardcore programmer. I know better than NetBeans, so I'm going to ignore its advice. Okay, so it's now created a class called new class. I have the templates here, which we've kept here. Again, NetBeans will tell you where to change something. So it will give you the default and tell you where to change it. So you can have your own license files added by default, and they're configurable, and you can add any number of information in, and you can have the author added by default. I'm terrible at remembering how to write basic stuff in Java, because I don't often do it, and then I have a mental block. So my dream IDE, I would just have to press Control, tap space, and then I would get this context-sensitive menu popping up, which would make lots of smart suggestions. So it would tell me, for example, that I'm going to write some Java code here. Again, as George has showed you, there are options for multiple languages. We're just using one language to show you. But most of these tools are available in all of the language tools, and they will be appropriate to the language. So I now have a method. And again, what I want to do is to avoid typing too much code. I have to confess that I am really, really jealous of you lot, because you are so lucky. Because when I started writing code, I had to pay £500 for a tool which did about a third of what this did. And this is all here for free. So I'm very, very jealous of you. You were all born at the right time from that point of view. So let's have new instance equals new. And again, I press Control space. NetBeans is guessing sensible suggestions. OK, I want to pass a string to this. So I'm going to put a string value in. And NetBeans has detected that there's no string value constructor. So would I like to create one? Yes, I would like to create one. Don't see why I should write the code. OK, Again, NetBeans is trying to protect you from yourself. So if you write empty code, you might override a method. It will deliberately add an exception. So if you run this code and it ends up in that routine, you'll get an exception. You won't be sitting there going, I don't understand why my code doesn't work anymore because I've accidentally replaced a method with another method. So let's put something useful in there. Okay, I've just come from writing JavaScript, so I'm obviously going to say string comparison equals. Okay, dev first. And it would be nice if when I started the brackets, it automatically completed the brackets, and I want to do a system out. So let's do sys, and again, it's context sensitive. Okay, so, hello, DevFest. Okay, that code is rubbish because that's not a string comparison, that's an object comparison. And NetBeans has already quietly put a little thing there that says, and it fixes it. So, I am a great programmer, not because I'm a great programmer. I'm actually quite a mediocre programmer, but I have a great piece of software to review my code, which takes out all the little mistakes. So again, it's put that in there. And again, I can write code much faster on NetBeans because I might want a for loop. So let's go, give me a for loop, F-O-R. And again, NetBeans will give me some choices. There are keyboard shortcuts, so I could type F-O-R-M in this case and press tab, and it will try and guess the most appropriate values for me. So there it has added a routine. Let's move the cursor to there and I can keep coding. One of the most tedious jobs that I had to do when I first wrote Java is to write all of the getters and setters. So I would introduce an object like int I equals 0, and then I'd have to write the getter and setter. So it'd be really nice if the code could now actually say, do you want a getter or a setter? And it would just write the code for me. So a lot of this is NetBeans doing all of the hard work for me and writing the code. Not only can it write the code, but it can also have a look at my code and tell me how to improve it. So I can, for example, have, let's go to the logwriter class. It would be really nice if I could have the ability to just remember important bits of code. So I have a method in here which we use to switch on debugging, which is here. So it would be really nice if we could, like, as we have a bookmark there. And if I go to the bookmarks view, you will see it's listed the bookmarks. And these bookmarks allow you to add bookmarks into the data. They can also give them a name. So you can see here's my bookmark, and I even have a name for it, which is turning on debugging. If I want to get NetBeans to tell me what it thinks of the code, it can run a whole load of tests on it. So it can use inspect and transform, which will look through the code and fix lots of common errors. So like empty strings, string comparison, which is what I did. I can either run single comparison rules, or I can run a whole lot. And again, I can do it on this class, I could do it on the whole project, it's all context sensitive. So I can actually scan all of those things and run it on there. Not only that, but there are rules that can also use find bugs or PMD if they're installed. So I can run the inspect and transform on the code. I can also run inspect, which will apply a wider range of rules. The reason it's wider is because it can't automatically fix all of these things. So it can spot things, or it can actually run through and spot things and fix them. So there's inspect and transform, or there's inspect. And it's not switched on George's machine as well, but there is actually an option where it will go through the code and actually upgrade the code base. So we are currently moving our code base to Java 8. So we will run an inspect and transform on the code with this, and it will spot all the lambdas, the diamond strings, and again, it's totally configurable. So I can go into NetBeans, and I can say to it, I'd like you to run this. I have two pieces of advice if you decide to use code editor rules. The first one is there's a lot of rules which are very sensible and a lot of rules which are frankly silly. So don't obsess because it tells you that your semicolons are in the wrong place. Start with an empty set of rules and then choose the ones that make sense and apply it, because you should be spending more time writing good quality code. So do it over a period of time. The other key thing that I would recommend is before you introduce the rest of the team to any of these, please run it on your own code, because you will go and look at some absolutely horrendous code and you will say to yourself, which idiot committed this? And you will find out that that's actually your code. So my advice to you is before you actually let anyone go anywhere near any of before you start preaching to everyone else, quietly fix all of your code issues. Again, you can go in here and you can choose tests. You can have them as warnings or compile errors as well. So you can integrate the whole lot, but my advice is, as I say, start with a small list, choose what makes sense for your code, have a nice set of rules, That's also really useful because it will enforce consistency, particularly if you have a team of programmers. As I said, also, you have support for find bugs, PMD, check style, lots of other tools built in. So there's an awful lot of functionality there to help you write code quickly and also then go through the code, spot the silly mistakes, suggest improvements, and also end up with consistent code and also enforce rules. So like you can choose to all use brackets rather than some of you use brackets on your if statements and others don't. That means you spend more time having fun writing cool code and less time fixing each other's mistakes and annoying your other developers.
Right up, so I'm going to talk about the Chrome connector now. So what you can do with this is, well, first you have to download it from online, so for this one, you first go to the Chrome store. It's an extension, so you'd add this onto the Chrome. And then what you do is you'd go back into NetBeans. And I can use the project I created from earlier for this. So if I just got... Right, I think it was closed. All right, so I'll just open it back up. All right, so our recent projects. All right, so now I'll just create it again. Right, so I'm creating a HTML project, and what the Chrome connector basically allows me to do is it lets me sync with the Chrome let me sync NetBeans with the Chrome browser. So, all right, here we go. So if you right-click your project that you want to connect, properties, and then go down to run, you can basically set what browser you want NetBeans to open your project in. So you could set it with Chrome, Internet Explorer, Firefox. So we're going to use the NetBeans connector this time. So select that, OK, and then just click Run. And when it's actually up and running, the NetBeans symbol turns blue, and this yellow bar will come across the top of the screen. So that just tells you that it's actually connected and working, and you can debug in it. So if I just open it like this. Right. So as you can see, it works like a normal project. So I can go to the menu, I can go onto a different page. And in NetBeans, I can open the pages. And well, like I said, it's two-way synchronization. So if I go down to NetBeans and say I want to change a color or something. Okay, so we've got blue here. So all right, so we've got these two here. So say if I want to change this blue box to red, save it, and then what it does is it reloads the page for me, so I don't have to go and reload it myself. I could have two separate windows open, two different monitors, just save it on NetBeans, and it reloads it for me, so I don't have to swap over and refresh the page. And it works the other way as well. So when I'm in Chrome, right-click, start inspecting NetBeans mode. And then what that allows me to do is just hover over items, and it'll give me the name of it, so it'll give me the what element it is, the ID, and then I can click on it. And if you can see here, it opened it in the navigation in NetBeans. So the blue div box, click on that, or the red div, and it just swaps to it in the code. So again, it opened up the file for me, and it just make it that much easier just to locate some of your stuff. So I can right-click and stop inspection in that. And another great thing about it is if I put this back in full screen mode, click on this, and you can change the different sizes. So if you work on smartphones, you can change it to that. If you work on desktops, or you can change it to your own custom set. So it's completely up to you. Yep, that's everything. We'll come back to the embedded WebKit browser if we have time. Right, so stuff we didn't manage to fit in the 40-minute talk. So profiling code.
Okay, so NetBeans had its own built-in low latency profiler. So profiling code is as easy as, up here we have a couple of buttons. I'll just jump into the project. Again, NetBeans is completely context specific, so that's now changed. So not only can I run the project, I can also debug the project, but I also have this profile option. So NetBeans comes with its own built-in profiler. You can also get plugins, so you can use the JFluid profiler as part of NetBeans, or you can download the Visual JM Studio, or you can use JRocket or any of those plugins to use it. But as default, NetBeans ships with its own profiler, so you can very quickly dive into memory or performance issues within NetBeans. And it's included as just a button next to the run.
You can also have integration with Jira, like Mark showed you, Bugzilla, and other issue trackers. So if you've got a team working on various different issues all at once, you can just jump straight into that. So it just makes it, again, easier to just jump back and forth between things. You can also use NetBeans as a development platform, like Mark said, to make rich client applications. And so you can just build on top of NetBeans. You don't have to start from scratch.
You also have Docker and cloud support. So NetBeans, as default, can connect with the clouds off the services window, and it's also set up so you can have a Docker project. So if we can go to there, and the services, again, part of the idea of NetBeans is you have a single screen mode. You can live in NetBeans, so you can connect NetBeans to any cloud, any Docker instances down there, and you can do everything from inside NetBeans. You never actually have to leave NetBeans, which is a vast boon for productivity.
You can also test, so you can use TestNG, JUnit, Selenium. Some of these you will have to get the plugin for, but you can get that through the plugin portal or download it from the plugin portal and then add it that way. So if I just show you that quick. So it pops it in test packages for you, and you can just see that this is where we have all of our test suite. So you can run the tests. Oh, wait, let's do that. 1 sec. So right-click test file, or you can debug the test file. So if your tests aren't working, then you need to sort them out first.
As you'll probably notice, this is a whistle-stop tour. When we were told it's a one-day conference, we said one day might just be enough for us to run through the basic features. And we were told we needed 40 minutes. So we're trying to whet your appetite for the rest of the code. So NetBeans also, Oracle has produced a JavaScript framework which hides a lot of the complexity of JavaScript. So it includes support for JNode and jQuery, sorry, Node.js and jQuery. It comes with a whole load of ready-to-run templates. It's downloadable from the internet. You just need to go to Oracle Jet, and for some reason it's free. I don't know why they've decided to give away for free, but you know, if they want to be that generous, that's very kind of them. So if you go to oraclejet.org, you will find essentially ready-to-made JavaScript library which allows you to run all sorts of JavaScript applications, and Oracle has put an awful lot of development resources into that. Oracle's current business model is that their clients are using Jet as a front end and interfacing onto databases. Oracle obviously hopes that Oracle databases, but they don't have to be in terms of the data. The last thing we'd like to tell you about, so we can leave some time for questions, is when NetBeans originally came out. NetBeans has been open source for a lot of time, but it has been under Oracle's control. And Oracle has now released NetBeans, so it now belongs to the Apache Foundation. So the Apache Foundation is where you would go to get Maven, where you would go to get Ant, where you would go to get Poi. There are a huge number of Apache projects. NetBeans is now one of those Apache projects. So in the same way you have open governance and anyone can get involved and anyone can download NetBeans Apache, and there's nothing that anyone can do to stop you downloading or using those, NetBeans is now under the Apache stable. Ironically, since Oracle gave it away, they've started taking NetBeans more seriously because they've now actually realized how many projects inside Oracle rely on NetBeans. NetBeans is the default IDE for the Java implementation. Large amounts of it are used in other Oracle tools like JDeveloper. So Oracle has actually been putting more resources into NetBeans since it stopped being a product. It's sort of ironic, like it happens in a lot of our organizations. An external product gets taken more seriously than an internal product. But that now means that A, Oracle's putting more resources in, and also other people who, for one reason or another, didn't want to be involved in Oracle's project are now coming in, and anyone can get involved. So, for example, there's a group of Gradle developers. Oracle never wrote a Gradle plugin because Oracle wasn't interested in Gradle. So there's now work on putting an Oracle Gradle plugin, a NetBeans Gradle plugin. So it should mean that NetBeans grows even faster than it has been, and that's actually attracting a lot of new users onto the platform. And it's the only totally free IDE platform out there.
Right, so next steps. You can go to the NetBeans website, so you can download NetBeans from there, or you can learn more. So that's more about the community, plugins, downloads, and how to get involved. At the moment, NetBeans is still in the process of moving to Apache, but is getting there. If you wanted to see the mailing list and discussions, you can look at this link or join one of the mailing lists. So the development mailing list is for people who want to commit to NetBeans, so they want to actually be involved in the coding aspect, or for the users of NetBeans. So if you don't want to do the coding, but you want to be a user, you want your input to be received and looked at and basically put your point across, then you can join the users one. Apart from that, if you are interested, there's NetBeans days all over the globe: Greece, Germany, UK, France. So if you want to get involved, just join one, or if there isn't one in your country, you can make your own. Right.
Okay, and we left 5 minutes for questions as requested. Thank you very much.
Oh.
I'm actually a Mac user, and many years ago I used Eclipse, and one of the things I found most frustrating in Eclipse is it runs really well on a Windows platform, but the SWT interface didn't run as well. So the answer is 100%. I think actually you get the benefit of it running on Mac, and obviously Mac's a much better experience than Windows, so you get more code written. But most of the users are running it on, it's run on both Mac, it's run on Linux, it's run on Windows, so it's entirely cross-platform, including the sophisticated stuff like the profiler.
One more question. Maybe there is no answer, but I'm just curious. Let's say I'm an Android developer. Why should I favor NetBeans IDE over Android Studio?
Okay, we are here to answer questions until they physically throw us out the building, so please ask as many questions as you want. As I said earlier, you guys are so lucky because you are spoiled for choice with so many just free tools out there to do high-quality development. So I think Android Studio is a great tool for developing Android applications. NetBeans has a plugin for developing Android. The reasons that you might use NetBeans rather than Android is, first of all, you like the NetBeans experience. There are people who use Eclipse because they like the way Eclipse is designed. There are people who use IntelliJ because they like the way IntelliJ works. So there's plenty of tools that you just, the best tool is, people keep coming up to me and saying, what's the best tool for? And the answer is the one that works best for you to get the job done. But the reasons you might use NetBeans rather than Android Studio is if, as George has showed you, you have a project where you've got HTML5, JavaScript, CSS, Java, you might have some PHP in there as well. If it's in NetBeans, you can debug the whole thing in a single IDE. So that would be my primary reason for suggesting that. But as I say, it's, we're obviously here to encourage you to try NetBeans, but you have this marvelous choice of choosing. Do you buy the Ferrari or the Bugatti? Or even use both. I actually have. I use NetBeans for all my day-to-day development. I actually have a license on IntelliJ because I have a client who uses IntelliJ and they like IntelliJ projects. And I actually think IntelliJ's refactoring is awesome. It blows NetBeans it blows everything out of the water because it can refactor broken code. It's just incredible. But for day-to-day productive coding, NetBeans is just much faster for me on the Mac, particularly on the large projects we have. IntelliJ likes to re-index everything. So, I have different tools for different projects. But, I would encourage you to have both on your desktop, really. Any other questions? We are here for the rest of the day, so if you would like to come and talk to us about anything, even medieval history, you're very welcome to come and join us. We'll be over by the stand and we'll just talk enthusiastically until they throw us out the building. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your